follow. This is my dream, and now I know this is a song of my soul. And now the time has come to sing the song of my
Good morning. I'm Terry Cornelius, and I'm a practitioner at the Hilltop Center for Spiritual Living with Reverend Dr. Guy. So happy to have you join us this morning. It is a great event between Reverend Guy's talks, the music. We have a 3-minute meditation, all for you. If you're doing it at the time that it opens, fine, you can watch it later. Just know that we are here for you. We are all in this together, and the love of God and the support we get is valuable. It's so great. We do know, as we are one with God, that the love, the gratitude, the joy, all that is good is ours to have. And supporting each other through this time, even though we're hoping it's going to be sooner than later, we still can be reached. You can call us for prayer. That's no problem. You can join the prayer circle. We have a lot to offer. So please take advantage of these things. But again, remember that peace and the joy and the love that we all have is our connection to God, which is priceless. So please stick with us. We'll be here again next week. And so it is. The reading for this morning is by Deepak Chopra. He says there are many aspects to success. Material wealth is only one component, but success also includes good health, energy, and enthusiasm for life, fulfilling relationships, creative freedom, emotional and psychological stability, a sense of well-being, and a peace of mind, and so it is. Close your eyes and simply become aware of your breathing. We are going to use the breath to bring you into the present moment, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. As you inhale, your cool air coming into the body and nurturing your body as you exhale. The warm air leaving the nostrils, releasing any tension or negative emotion. Feel your feet connecting you to the earth. Feel your shoulders sinking down. Feel your neck elongating. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes. Relax the jaw. Relax the ears. Relax all the muscles in your back. Come back to the breath. Coolness on the inhalation, bringing you into the present moment. Exhaling warm air, leaving, knowing you are safe, relaxed. So quiet your mind. Thoughts go by like white, fluffy clouds in a blue sky. Bring your attention back to your breath. Releasing yourself from the past and of the future. Fully enjoying this present moment. Feeling yourself cultivating an inner peace, a safe place for you to come. Breathe, slowly open your eyes. Breathe, releasing yourself from the past and the future. Fully enjoying this present moment. Feeling yourself cultivating an inner peace, a safe place for you to come. Bring your attention back to your breath, releasing it. Breathe and slowly open your eyes. And so it is.
The secret to a life without lack is rooted in our knowledge of God. So says the philosopher and theologian Dallas Willard. This month our theme is Your Abundant Life. And so last week we began to talk about what that looks like. And we're dealing with abundance that is rooted in this experience of the divine. We are a spiritual center. We are engaged in spiritual practice. Everything about us is spiritual. Nothing is separate from that. And so, of course, the very premise of an abundant life is rooted in our knowledge of God. So, how do we know God? So, what the mystics have taught us, and so famously, especially Thomas Merton, is that we really begin to know God when we begin to know ourselves. Ernest Holmes, the founder of New Thought, would say that our experience of the divine is predicated in our perception of the divine. What we think God is how we experience God. So if our idea about the divine is a judge, a parental figure, a judicial figure, a moody kind of character, that's how we're going to experience it. If our experience of the divine or our perception of the divine is that which is wise, that which is loving, that which is good, then that's how we begin to experience it. Kester Bruin, as we're looking at this question of what does it mean to be human, and how do we understand the divine as humans, says this about us. He says, human beings tell stories and make tools. Now, of course, there's a whole lot more about being human than those two things, but let's start with that. Human beings tell stories and make tools. So what we know is this, is that because our stories are bound to our culture, and our culture represents the technology and tools that we use, our stories then are anchored in the culture, the technology, the tools that we use. So last week I gave a good example of that, which is this ancient Hebrew poem called the 23rd Psalm. We know it as "The Lord is my shepherd." So that sounds really churchy, and it kind of sounds parental and parochial, the Lord. It's not how it was originally written in Hebrew. The word Lord that you see in the Hebrew Bible is really kind of a compromise, and I don't want to get too much into the history of it today about what was said and how one pronounced the name of the divine. Really how it was is Yadver is the name. So Yadver is like a shepherd. So what does that mean? Yadver simply means that which is, that which was before anything was, that which was or will be after everything moves on, that which is wise, that creates, that sustains, that transforms. So in the ancient texts, whether it be the Hebrew Bible or the Bhagavad Gita or the Dhammapada or anything like that, we use names, a technology, a tool for understanding the divine that's based in the experiences that we have. And so God or the divine is like a parent. It is like a lover. It is like a rock. It is like a mountain. It is like this. In this poem, the divine is like a shepherd. So what does that mean? It means that I allow myself to be guided, to be led by a loving, divine, and wise presence that seeks only my good. Now, the important part of it is this, is that I take refuge. I allow myself to be guided. I give up this illusion that I am in control of my life, and I am aware that there is a power for good in the universe that desires my good. And as I let myself be guided to it, wonderful things begin to happen. It's like being led to grassy meadows where there's a fullness. It's like being sustained and kept alive. Even in times of fear, even if I am passing through the valley of the shadow of death, I don't need to be afraid. It's like being able to have a meal with those things that used to feel like enemies to me. So allowing myself to be guided means I am sustained. I am supported. I am reconciled. I am brought to peace. I allow myself to live a life without care and without fear. And there's kind of a trick to how we begin to do this, right? There was a book out a couple years ago called The Art of Racing in the Rain. It was eventually made into a movie. And there were just so many gems in that book, but one of the ones that sticks out with me so much is a line that is given that basically says this: where the eyes go, the car follows. Now what's really interesting is there is evidence that shows that when people get into accidents, like drive into a tree or something like that, it's often because instead of keeping their eyes fixed on the road and correcting, they're fixed on the thing that they're afraid of hitting, and sure enough, where the eyes go, the car follows, and sort of straightening themselves out, they find themselves plowing into a tree or the side of a building or something like that, because we become mesmerized by the thing that we're afraid of. And so really what we're saying here is this, is that wherever your mind goes, the rest of your life goes with it. Where your eyes go, the car follows. Where our awareness or where our mind is, the rest of our life and the rest of our affairs follow along. So I want to be real clear about what I mean by mind, because I'm not talking about mental thinking. What I'm talking about is awareness, attention, the buzzword consciousness. So what I am aware of, what I am dwelling on, what I am paying attention to is where my life is going. And so if my life is grounded in a sense of fear, then I'm going to move to the thing that I'm afraid of. If my mind is aware or paying attention to what I don't have, I'm going to move to what I don't have. But if I am aware that I am being guided and led by a wisdom that reveals itself to me and through me to my good, then I'm going to be moving right towards that good. And so if our primary contact with God is through our mind, what we do with our mind really becomes the most important choice we have. The thing about mind that's different from, say, emotions or mental thinking or what we obsess about is that we can direct our mind. The Buddhists call this mental hygiene, being aware of what we're aware of. And when we find ourselves directing or going off into the weeds, that we can kind of pull ourselves back. And so, if we think that we are what we think or what we feel, we arrive at places like separation. We arrive with this illusion that we're kind of in control of everything. And like I said last week, we sort of become the sorcerer's apprentice. We try to put out this fire and another one happens. There's a carnival game called whack-a-mole, right? We sort of beat the mole down here and it pops up there. And so we find our life as a continual experience of trying to put out fires or trying to take care of this and take care of that. There's no peace in that. It becomes frustrating. We become so distracted about staying in control that we literally lose control. We have a sense of feeling alone or separate. So one of the secrets that I have come to understand that I want to offer to you today is this, is that we become aware that no one has ever achieved abundance, health, well-being. No one has ever achieved the fullness of who they are alone. It just doesn't happen. And so the question then begins, how do we develop an awareness that we are part of something greater than us that desires our good? And again, if we think in terms of this model of a good shepherd, what it's representing is that, and again, whatever ancient texts we look at, that we can benefit from the wisdom of those. But what we begin to understand is that there is an inner guidance that reveals itself through our intuition, and that we can trust this. It will bring us to good. It will bring us to the still waters and the grassy meadows. The true nature of who we are is that which is made in the image and likeness of the divine itself. Mystics call this the Christ consciousness. And this is the most true aspect of who we are, more than what we accomplish or don't accomplish, more than what we have or don't have, more than what we fantasize ourselves to be or don't, more than who we are or who we want to be. At the essence of all of that is what we would say the Christ consciousness. Ernest Holmes would say it this way. He would say that we are a center of divine consciousness, divine awareness, divine beingness within the vast whole, because that part of us lacks nothing. When we are in touch with that aspect of ourself that is a center of divine consciousness within the vast whole, we experience abundance. We experience fullness. We realize that because we are in touch with that aspect that is divine, we lack nothing. And so to do this then, we begin to look at that which leads us, that wisdom that awakens the divine awareness, the Christ consciousness within us. And again, we go back to this. What is the nature of that which we are made in the image and likeness of? Well, the very nature of God is creating. And creating comes from this experience of love. So the very nature of the divine itself is love. And because the impulse of love is to create, to expand, to share itself, that's the truest nature of who we are. Here's the mystical secret. And of course, this would be impossible for it to happen, but this is what it is that if God was to stop loving you, you would cease to exist. Because what God is love. And all that God creates from love. And if we are made in the image and likeness of the divine, then that means that the very essence, the very core of who we are, is love incarnate, love expressed. We are a center of divine love within the vast whole. And when we live from this place of love, we lack nothing. And so then, how do we become more loving? How do we begin to develop that sense of love? And again, I think we can fall back on the ancient teachings of the mystics and spiritual teachers of all the ages. And one of the ones that I think is probably the most misunderstood is a man by the name of Paul of Tarsus. And he wrote about 2,000 years ago, and he wrote to communities that he founded and he supported. And he talked about this awareness and of developing this awareness of love. And I want to offer to you a spiritual practice. And again, spirituality is a practice. It's not something we do or not do depending on how we feel. Our awareness is to grow. And our will engenders us to show up, to get on the mat, to do the practice. So last week I offered the practice of first reading or memorizing the 23rd Psalm. And let's do that this whole month. Is to read this daily and to see ourselves as either the shepherd or the sheep or the reconciling ourselves with what used to separate us from someone or something, but to allow ourselves to literally be in the experience of the poem and not just simply read it with our head, but experience it in our heart. And then to pay attention to our intuition of what comes up, what speaks to us. So I want to add one more practice to the practice. And it comes from this idea of what it means to be a loving person. And one of the letters that this man Paul wrote to one of his communities was all about love. And in a book called 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he has this beautiful dissertation on what love is. And part of it he says is this: love is patient, love is kind. It isn't jealous, it doesn't brag, it isn't arrogant, it isn't rude, it doesn't seek to own advantages, it isn't irritable, it doesn't keep a record of complaints, it isn't happy with injustice, but is happy with the truth. Love puts up with all things, trusts in all things, hopes for all things, and endures all things. And That's a powerful thing. But here's the practice. If we are made in the image and likeness of the divine, and the divine is love, then we truly are love. And so the practice is this mantra. Instead of using the word love, use the first person. So this is our daily practice. I am patient. I am kind. I am not prone to jealousy, and I don't brag. I'm not arrogant, nor am I rude. I don't seek my own advantage, nor am I irritable. I don't keep a record of complaints, nor am I happy with injustice, but I am happy with the truth. I put up with all things. I trust in all things, hope for all things, and endure all things. And I want to say this again, slower, prayerfully, and I'd like you now to repeat in your mind these words as I read them. I am patient. I am kind. I am not prone to jealousy, and I don't brag. I'm not arrogant, nor am I rude. I don't seek my own advantage, nor am I irritable. I don't keep a record of complaints, nor am I happy with injustice. But I'm happy with the truth. I put up with all things. I trust in all things, hope for all things, and I endure all things. So let that be your practice, to repeat this daily, hourly, to awaken the presence of love within us, to remind ourselves that when we have a deeper experience of the divine within who we are, we lack for nothing. We are guided. We are supported. We are transformed. You know, we live in a world that is preoccupied with fear, a world that is preoccupied with separation, a world that is attempting one way or another to try to control things that we literally cannot control. And so we live in a world of separation. We live in a world of fear. We live in a world of control. And again, what this ancient teacher said is this. He said, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. Don't get locked into it. Don't be anchored in or bound or in bondage to the way that this world is operating out of fear and separation. But be transformed by renewing your minds so that you can figure out what God's will is, what is good, what is pleasing, and what is mature. Do not be conformed to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And that is the secret to an abundant life. So I want to thank you for being part of this spiritual practice and being part of our spiritual community, whether this is the first time you've been viewing or that you have been following us all along. Whether you have been part of our original brick and mortar community or whether you have discovered us through the virtual world. Thank you. And I invite you to engage in the practice of solidarity. Solidarity means that we are a fellowship. And a fellowship means that we have each other's back, that there are wonderful benefits that we offer to each other, but there's also responsibilities that we take on and fulfill. praying for each other, sharing, allowing ourselves to be transformed, and the continued and generous support through love, through time, through talent, and through treasure. And so, my dear friends, to you and those whom you love and those whom you receive love from, I wish you many, many, many blessings.
All that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shine upon my face. All that I need comes to me. I've been set free, I'm released. I've been set free, I'm released. The burden of my past gone away at last. I've been set free, I'm released. Sweet rain that washes me clean. Sweet rain that washes me clean. The mind creates all things, into my life it brings. Sweet rain that washes me clean. All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shine upon my face. All that I need comes to me.